Spurg here, and in this video we are going to break down sizing tips for Alpinestars Airbag lineup. We're going to go airbag by airbag. We're going to discuss every airbag in Alpinestars line. And that's because wearable motorcycle airbags have become very popular over the last few years. But despite their growing popularity, some riders are finding it hard to choose the right size, and frankly that's understandable considering how confusing we found some of the Alpinestars size charts to be. So in an effort to help, we ordered up every airbag that Alpinestars makes, and we had the same riders try them on to discuss not just how they fit according to their respective size chart, but to display how sizing may vary from one unit to the next. Now, if you're not familiar, Alpinestars has 5 main airbag options at the moment. There's the Tech Air 3, the Tech Air 5 Plasma, the Tech Air 7X, the Tech Air 10, and the Tech Air Off-Road. And while we'll give you a few brief facts about each one of these airbags to help guide your decision, please keep in mind that for all the units that we're going to discuss today, we have detailed breakdown videos that go into all the details much more in depth than what we are going to hit on. Now, as airbags are also meant to be unisex, we have Lee with us today to speak to fitment for women riders out there. I will discuss fitment for men. We're going to kick things off with the Alpinestars Tech Air 3, and Anthony is going to be our model today. With the Tech Air 3, this is the most affordable airbag within Alpinestars line. Deployment will cover the chest, the collarbone, as well as the back, and it's unique in the fact that the Tech Air 3 is the only airbag designed to be worn either under or over the jacket. So this is going to give you some different style look options as well. Now, some size charts will recommend arm or inseam and some other measurements. We found those to be inaccurate across the board, so we're not using them. We're really just focused on these core measurements for Anthony. So the Tech Air 3 can be worn, like I said, over or under. Let's start with under. If you're wearing this under a jacket, you really should have, as Alpinestars recommends, 1.5 inches of circumference room under the jacket. You need extra room for your jacket to allow for the airbag to deploy. And that's going to pretty much stay true as we talk through all the rest of the airbags today as well. So just keep in mind that sizing the airbag for yourself is one thing, but then sizing appropriately for the jacket over top is another. For the Tech Air 3 specifically, Anthony's chest measurement was 42 inches. The size chart recommended that he was in a large. We found that was too big. He sized down 1 full size to a medium, and it fit him spot on. Now, when we looked at the over-the-top measurement of him measuring over that Reax Alta 2, remember it was 44.5 inches. This is where Alpinestars size chart gets really confusing. The small says that it's almost like a 5-inch range, like 41 inches up to like 44 or 45 inches. And then a medium is like 43 inches up to almost 48 inches. So there's overlap here. Again, with the 44.5 measurement, we found that the small was way too small to fit it over top of a jacket. The medium worked perfectly for him. So in Anthony's case, the medium was his size for both under or over the jacket. That will vary depending on the jacket you're using it with. But our real too long didn't read recommendation is that you start by using the under the jacket measurement and you size down 1 size based on what the size chart is recommending for you. So that covers the Tech Air 3 for the men. Let's check in with Lee for the women.
Alpinestars size charts are not written with women specifically in mind. Hopefully we can get them to change that in the future and provide a more accurate version of the size chart for female riders. However, I used my bust measurement to correlate with the men's chest measurement for this video. My bust measurement is 38 inches, 40.25 with the jacket on. And according to the size chart for the Tech Air 3, that puts me in an extra small in their over the jacket size chart. I found that to be accurate to size, and I would wear that over my Alta 2 mesh jacket. Shifting to the under jacket size chart, it places me in a medium. However, I found the extra small to be my preferred fit as well for a snug moto fit. That being said, Alpinestars warns that the extra small version of the Tech Air 3 shouldn't be used under a jacket, so I would skip this option. The one note I would make is that because of how stiff the leather jacket is, it felt much longer. And personally, I didn't like how the leather jacket version rode up almost to my ears in the riding position. I def recommend women considering a Tech Air 3 to go with canvas.
Next up is the Alpinestars Tech Air 5 Plasma. Deployment for this one is going to cover the chest, the collarbone, the back, but now it's going to also add in shoulder coverage. This is an update from the outgoing Tech Air 5. And some of the main changes we saw here is you can self-service the canisters if you have a deployment. You're also getting additional ride modes. You now have modes for the street, adventure riding, as well as track use. And an additional major change, this is much more comfortable than the outgoing TA5. This is designed to be worn underneath your gear, underneath your jacket, your tracksuit. So using Anthony's chest measurement of 42 inches, that put him in an extra large. We actually recommend sizing one full size down. The extra large was way too big for him. The large worked perfectly. Now, one note here that was interesting was that the height measurement put him spot on for a large, but some of the other measurements that were recommended in the size chart were way off. So we recommend really focusing on chest first and foremost, sizing one size down, and then using the height measurement to double check. As far as the overall fit, there was a little bit of extra room in his stomach that was comfortable, and then really nice and snug around the chest and the shoulders. One final note here is that he was able to use this perfectly with his existing jacket. He did not need to size up in the jacket to find any extra room for deployment. That, however, will vary based on the kind of jacket you're wearing and how tight you're already wearing your existing jacket. Also, with the Plasma, keep in mind you have that coverage coming down the shoulders now, so you need a little bit of extra room in the upper arm. So, final note, if you're looking at the chest measurement, size down from what it recommends. Now let's check in with Lee for the ladies.
I really like the fit and feel of the Tech Air 5. I think this is a much better option than the Tech Air 3 for women. Using the size chart bust measurement, it recommended a medium. However, I again found myself sizing down to the extra small. It was a little tight in the chest, however, I personally felt sizing down 2 sizes provided me with my best fit. The one note here is that I'm normally a medium in my Alta Mesh jacket. And to accommodate the Tech Air 5, I did have to size up to a large. You may have similar experiences depending on your current jacket fit.
Next up is the Alpinestars Tech Air 7X. Deployment here is going to cover the chest, the collarbone, the shoulders, and the back. The one note, as it differs from the Plasma, is that you're going to see much more passive coverage on the back, and this is really designed for more track use. The extended back coverage is going to work well in a tracksuit, but it might be a bit too long for the average street riding gear or if you're in more of an upright position. So from a sizing standpoint, Anthony's chest measurement is 42 inches. Again, like we saw with the Plasma, it's recommending he's in an extra large on that Tech Air 7X size chart. We found that sizing down to a large worked perfectly for him. His waist measurement for this one was spot on as well, as was the height. So you can use those two to sanity check yourself. And then based on the amount of coverage here, we're recommending that you would size up one full size from what you would normally use in a tracksuit to allow for the proper comfort fit. The other thing to note here is you want to make sure that your tracksuit is Tech Air compatible. If you're planning on wearing this with a street jacket, there's a good chance that you're going to have to size up there as well. So just full transparency, normally Anthony is in a 52 for the tracksuit. When he added this in, he did size up to a 54. So hopefully that helps you with your decision there as well. Now, let's check in with Lee for the women.
For the Tech Air 7X, the size chart once again put me in a medium, though I decided to start with an extra small, which had been accurate for me with the other models. However, I found the chest a little too tight in this case, which made the waist ride up. And when I went up to a small, it accommodated my bust much better, which actually made the waist fit perfectly. In regards to my race suit, I would normally wear a size 44, and I didn't feel the need to size up with the airbag on.
Next up, the Tech Air 10. So here we're going to have maximum coverage. You're going to have your chest, your collarbone, your shoulders, and your back, but this now adds in hip coverage. The back coverage is going to be very similar to what we saw with the 7X, but now you're getting, you can see the little legs here, the pants, you're getting coverage down around the hips, and this is really designed for use with a race suit that has airbag compatibility. Now, Alpinestars does say that you can use this with street gear, but not with a tight-fitting belt. Ultimately, we feel like if you're opting for the Tech Air 10, you should be using this with a compatible track suit. Anthony's 42-inch chest measurement recommends again that he's in an extra large. He found that sizing down to a large was perfect. Some other notes on some measurements here. His waist measurement and his height measurement were spot on for a large. So start with the chest measurement, size down one size, and then sanity check yourself with the waist as well as the height. The one note here for inseam measurement, we found it to be wildly inaccurate. So if you're thinking, oh, well, this one has legs to it, I need to check the inseam, we would pay no mind to the inseam measurement. Stick with those other measurements we discussed. Now, based on the amount of coverage that we're seeing here, same thing we talked about with the 7X, recommend one full size up from your normal tracksuit to allow for proper comfort as well as safe deployment. Like we said, Anthony was normally a 52 in his tracksuits. He would size up to a 54 with this. Let's check in with Lee.
For the Tech Air 10, I ended up sizing back down to an extra small again, which is 2 sizes down for my recommended chest measurement. My height of 65 inches was actually the most accurate measurement for the Tech Air 10, which put me in an extra small, which was actually an all-around good fit. I didn't need to size up my tracksuit here at all either.
So the final airbag to consider today is the Tech Air Off-Road. Now this one's gonna be a little bit unique because you've got built-in passive off-road protection. You've got elbow and shoulder, chest and back protector built in here from a passive standpoint. From a deployment standpoint, the airbag will cover your chest, your collarbone, your shoulders, as well as your back. Now the one note, if you are somebody that rides off-road using a neck protector, that is not compatible with this airbag. So if you're opting in for the airbag, you cannot wear your neck protector with this. From a sizing standpoint, Anthony's 42-inch chest measurement recommends that he's in a size XL. You guessed it, size down to a large. His waist measurement and his height, spot on, so you can use those to sanity check yourself, but start with the chest measurement and then go down one size based on what it recommends. There's also an arm measurement here. We would recommend not considering that. We found that the arm measurement to be way off, and it's just, focus on the first 3 measurements and you should be good there. Based on the amount of coverage and the fact that it's designed for off-road use, we found that the garments that you wear over top of it will vary depending on whether or not you're going to need to size up. So for example, if you're wearing this with a jersey, most modern jerseys have enough stretch to them that you should be completely fine wearing it with your regular size jersey and not feeling like you have to size up there. However, if you're wearing this underneath an enduro style jacket, if the jacket is really tight and aggressive, you might need to size up your jacket to accommodate. So just make sure you're thinking about that from a consideration standpoint. Now, let's check in with Lee.
The main note here is that there isn't an extra small available for the Tech Air Off-Road. That being said, after trying on the small, I wouldn't have been able to go any smaller in the chest anyway. So I wouldn't size up to medium because the arms on the small felt a little loose already. Much like the Tech Air 3, this off-road version is clearly designed with the men's fit in mind, as it prioritizes the extra room in the arms. I didn't have to size up my jersey at all, but if I was wearing this under an enduro jacket, I would have to size up to a large.
Well, there you have it. We threw a lot of math at you, but hopefully this has helped to simplify a little bit of some of the confusing nature of sizing up an airbag. We know that this might just be the starting point on your journey, and if you want additional resources or information on any of the airbags discussed today, you can click the links below where we've got all of the additional assets of information and other video reviews for all the airbags we discussed today. And if you're still confused, you're not sure which airbag is right for you, you can always reach out to one of our customer service reps and they can walk you through all the airbag technology available to make sure you find the right airbag for your riding style as well as your budget. Thanks for joining Lee and I today as we discuss the different sizing options for airbags. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.